From Fox 8 Sports, this is the Overtime Podcast.
From the Fox 8 studios in New Orleans, this is the Fox 8 Overtime Podcast. I'm Vasilios. That is Sean Fazende. Remember to like, subscribe, rate, and review. You can find us wherever you listen to and watch your podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit the bell notification button. You get a notification every time we upload a new podcast. Sean, it is Friday.
It is.
The Saints are 2-2 heading into Week 5. They got the New England Patriots in Foxborough this weekend. There's some topics to cover here. We're going to start with some chatter about the Saints offense, as we kind of talked about earlier in the week, and we'll get it to the injury report. And, of course, as usual, we'll talk about one of our local teams. But let's start with the offense. I mean, we saw Pete Carmichael talk yesterday. I got to do better, I got to do better, I got to do better. We know that already.
Right.
What does this offense have to do to break through, especially against this Patriots team that can't score themselves?
Well, we've discussed that. The question is this the week that they break through?
That is true.
Is this the week they break through? Because that's ultimately what it boils down to. First off, nothing Pete Carmichael could have said this week would have satisfied anyone. And he clearly went in there with the mindset of, it's on me, got to do better, got to do better. It didn't take long to truly figure that out, that was the way he was going to go throughout that press conference. Unsurprising. You're trying to get some information, and people are going to just make their own excuse. Well, it ain't working. Blah, blah, blah. We get it. And frankly, I understand the contradiction in this statement, but because we've certainly played our role in it, but we've beaten a dead horse long enough when it comes to Pete Carmichael and the Saints offense all week. We've contributed to it, yes, but I know you were doing some Sports Talk Radio Thursday. You had asked me if I had listened. I said, dude, I turned off Sports Talk Radio after Monday. I saw one show, not the show you were on, but they were just constantly tweeting out clips. It was the same topic for like 5 straight days. I understand why. It's a topic. It is, but it's just to keep the topic, you got to keep it's hard to stay on the exact same thing for 5 straight days. So the question now becomes, is this the week? Is this the week the Saints offense breaks through and becomes the offense we all expected it to be? This is risky. This is very, 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 very risky to say. But yes, I believe this is the week they break through.
Ooh,
I believe this is the week they break through because it has to be. It has to be the week they break through. Because if you roll out another performance, as we mentioned several times this week, and it's 10 points, 12 points, 16 points, 18 points, you're not going to be able to manage that windfall of criticism and or questions that are coming, because at some point it's going to come within the organization and the higher ups within the organization. We got to make a change, but change is not coming before this game. I've now watched the film, offensive film, 3 times, 3 different times, network, all 22, and all 22 again, trying to view things, trying to see things, trying to see what went wrong, what opportunities are they missing? We've gone through it. What isn't happening? What tweaks can be made? You heard mine this week. I said fewer personnel groupings. I said run the ball more. We spoke on it. We've spoke on it all week long, not just here, on our shows this week, because that is what we do. But let's not lose sight of the fact that this offense truly does have what it takes to be a very good to great offense. Can the issues be fixed? Yes, I believe they can be. When you look at it, I believe they can be. You see the opportunities and I know that's so hard to hear, and you're probably rolling your eyes because that's the issue when you're talking about this dynamic where we deal with fans and team you cover and what you do, and you don't know the answer till the games come. So you do your best with the information that you have available. To me, the issue can be fixed because you see the opportunities there on tape. You see it. Again, this is risky. There are times I watch the tape and I'm like, they are so close. They are so close to like multiple big plays in a game. They are so close. You'll see Sunday one of the plays I broke down in against Tampa Bay. That, I mean, it should have been a touchdown. You'll see it. They have to have seen it. Most importantly, and this is key. Most importantly, the talent is there. The players are there. We're not talking about they're weak at wide receiver. They're too weak at running back. They need a running back. They need a tight end. They need a quarterback. The talent is there. That hasn't been the case the last 2 years. Let's just be frank. It hasn't been the case the last 2 years. This is a talented enough group of players to have a dynamic offense. The offensive line, the one weakness, has shown improvement week in and week out, and they're coming off one of their best game of the season against arguably the toughest defense to do it against because of all the exotic things they do. It was the one thing about the offense that really stood out in a positive way. So the O-line is improving. It's important to remember that. They are good enough to be the offense we expect them to be. Don't lose sight of that in this equation. So that's why I think with some tweaks, with some soul-searching self-examination, which, you kind of get the vibe they're doing, I think this can be the week they have the breakthrough. What does that breakthrough look like? Well, 1, get over 20 points. 2, move the ball with some rhythm, move the ball with some effectiveness, have some down-to-down efficiency, mix in some shot plays, run the football effectively, control the line of scrimmage, control the pace of the game. We all know what this looks like. We've seen it for so many years. We all know what it's supposed to look like. And what we've seen the first 4 weeks isn't it. But can they get back there? That's where the conversation is now taking us to on this Friday. And again, I know it's a bold statement, and I know I'm going to get ripped if it does not happen. But yes, I believe this is the week they can break through, and I believe this is the week where we come back Monday morning, we say, okay, that was better. Even if it's not like an onslaught of a shootout of 40-plus points, where it's clear they were improved, I think this is the week where we can say that. I like the matchup against New England, even with the J.C. Jackson addition. I think that's a struggling team. I understand they're coming off a loss. Bill Belichick is a great coach, but that team struggles with an identity as well. So, taking a risk here, but yes, I'm saying yes, they can break through offensively this week, and we can have a different conversation by Monday. How about that, Sil?
That is a spicy take, Sean, and I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily agree with you. I still think these are two. Yes, the talent.
So you're expecting another kind of mediocre offensive performance?
I think so. I think it'll be good enough to win, though. Based off
what would be a good performance for you?
A good performance, you gotta hit at least 21.
Yeah, I'm thinking in the 21 to 24 point range.
And those 21 points have to come from the offense. It's a bonus if they come from the defense and special teams. But like we've seen 4 games this season where the offense has kind of looked mediocre, and so I want to move past that. I want to get past the slandering of Pete Carmichael and every chance people get.
I think everyone's waiting for that moment where you're like, okay, there it is. Yeah, it is.
I think there has to be a decision made, or like just a firm stance after this game, no matter what. Either Pete's our guy and we just put up 21 points on offense, or you make a change like you mentioned earlier in the week. Maybe you don't necessarily fire a guy, but maybe give another guy.
That's it. And honestly, I think we're of the agreement that another pedestrian performance is not going to work.
No.
It's not going to work. There has to be some sort of accountability / change if that were to happen. The players understand that. So if they're going to rally, this is the time to rally. And player for player, they are good enough. They are good enough. We saw it. Like we saw it in the training camp. We saw it in the preseason. They are good enough.
Absolutely.
And that's to me, that's the biggest problem is there's the feeling of underachievement. Whereas last year, I didn't know what to expect out of this offense because the pieces weren't good enough. 2021, the pieces weren't good enough. The pieces are good enough. So it's now or never. You know what? I'm not going to say never, but it's the sense of urgency. It has to happen this week, and I am going to go out on a limb and say yes. We will see a breakthrough. We will see offensive improvement this week in New England.
All right. So moving on, the injury report. It is kind of lengthy this week. We see a couple guys.
Read them off to me.
All right. I got you. So Juwan Johnson is a DMP. He has been already marked as out. And so has safety Lonnie Johnson with a hammy. So Andrus Peat, limited in practice today. He's questionable. Ryan Ramczyk, limited. He doesn't have a game designation. I believe he's going to play. Full
He's
practice.
He's playing, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't scroll over far enough. Brian Brzee, going to play. He's full practice. Paulson Adebo, hammy, questionable, still limited. Derek Carr, limited, questionable, but he's probably going to play.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably just a formality. Yeah.
Eric McCoy, no designation, full practice. Same with Foster Moreau. Jordan Howden, back full practice, no designation. Landon Young did not practice. He is marked as out. And James Hurst,
limited
and questionable. There's some problem with the guard position right now.
Well, that's what jumps out. Look, Juwan Johnson being out all week, I think it probably hurt them more last week when he gets out, I guess, right before the game starts. He was questionable right before the game. I don't know what happened. So you go into a game plan with this guy in a lot of personnel groupings, a lot of different packages, but he's not available. That's why I think that's another reason why you saw some of those clunky personnel groupings that just made no sense at all because he was out. But look, that happens. You got to deal with that. I mean, Tampa Bay lost Mike Evans in the game. So preparing without him, I think, will make things a little bit easier. But I am concerned about that offensive line. If Andrus Peat can't go, if James Hurst can't go, Ruiz should be back, right? Ruiz should be back this week. And then Landon Young is kind of that swing tackle. Let's just do the math. You have Penning, you have McCoy, you have Ruiz, you have Ramczyk. So who is going to be your left guard? You have, if Hurst can't go and Pete can't go, is it Max Garcia? Is that the next guy up?
Practice squad call up.
Or Nick Saldiveri, the young rookie?
Hey, might as well give the Rook some reps, huh?
I don't know. And this was the James Hurst thing popped up later in the week, so that's something to really watch going forward. That has me concerned because I just raved about how the offensive line has improved from week 1 to week 4, and that must stay. That has to keep going. I mean, they need to have a few more of those performances together in back-to-back weeks to feel like you're there with the offensive line.
And that's the key with the offensive line is consistency, right? You have to play next to the other 4 guys like to really build the chemistry and work off of each other in a positive way. It's just that's just how it goes.
Absolutely, but it's also the injury group that it seems to hit that group the most. It makes sense, right? It's like big bodies in the trenches, confined space, hitting each other. Like you can understand why they're falling all over each other, getting rolled up on, whatever the case may be. So that concerns me a little bit. So because I would just be curious to see who fills in. I know last week the next guy up was Max Garcia. Is that the guy this week? I know they brought in, was it Irving on the practice squad?
Irving, yeah.
So that's just something to keep in mind as we get closer and closer to kickoff. If there's any kind of practice squad elevation and who would be that person that fills in at that guard position. I guess it would be left guard.
Yeah, looking over at the Patriots side, just because I wanted to count this for the heck of it, right?
Yeah, I saw there's a lot of names.
There's 10 guys questionable for the Patriots. I mean, that kind of does make me feel a little bit better about the Saints' chances.
Yeah.
We don't know how many of these guys are going to be out, but a lot of guys' status up in the air. But let's move forward to Baton Rouge, Death Valley up there. We got LSU versus Mizzou this week. 21 ranked Mizzou against 23 ranked LSU. Battle of the Tigers. I don't know how to feel about this game because none of these games feel like a gimme for LSU. And the reason for that is because, as we talked about last week, the defense isn't there for LSU. Jaden Daniels can play as fantastic as he wants to, but at the end of the day, the defense has to make a stop, and I don't know if they're capable.
Okay, so here's the new. If I'm the defensive coordinator, I'm giving my speech to my guys. Your new number is 28. Your new number is 28. You have to keep an opponent under 28 points because your offense is good enough to beat anyone if you allow only 28 points in the game. That's the new, put it on a wall. It's not great. It's not even good. I'm not even sure it's average. But it's what you have to be, and that's all you need with the way this offense is currently playing. They're playing out of their minds right now. So they looked at that tape. They know they've been embarrassed. If the idea for them is to still keep with these, coverages that clearly they can't play and rotations that they clearly can't do and rely on communication that they're clearly not getting, they're clearly not doing, that's leading to just bust you just don't, you're not supposed to see in the SEC. like you saw a week ago, if they don't make some kind of change to that to simplify it to basically 1 or 2 coverages, and I've already told you it's cover 1, press man on everybody, and sometimes you send the extra guy on a blitz, sometimes you send the extra guy, and you keep the extra guy in coverage. At least then everyone knows what they're doing.
And make them beat you.
And you probably get enough stops to keep it under that 28-point threshold and then let your offense do its thing. Because, frankly, you can't count on, and it's unfair to expect 500 total yards from your quarterback every single week. But you can expect, and it is fair with the way this roster is currently constructed, and I think the quarterback will gladly take that burden on. Hey, I can score 30. We can score 30 every week. We can put 30 up every week, especially against a Missouri team I don't know a whole lot about. It's weird. I know they've played well. They're undefeated right now, right?
That is correct. I'm actively looking up right now.
Yeah.
How many?
I know the quarterback's been decent. I know that it just feels
Yeah.
like kind of one of those sneak up on you undefeated records, and LSU's been so. I mean, they've been battle tested with some tough games. It doesn't mean I'm not sure they're any better for it, but what do you have?
Oh no, sorry. For some reason it took me back to 2021. I don't know why, but yeah, they're undefeated, but they haven't scored in the last 3 games. They haven't scored less than 30 points.
Oh. So they're putting up points.
They're putting up points, and so their last 3 opponents were Vanderbilt, Memphis, and Kansas State. Not necessarily world beaters, but all those teams probably have better defenses than LSU at this point. Sorry to say.
You're probably right. Front 4 of LSU, come on. It's your turn. I mean, we know the secondary issues, and it's easy to put it on them, but come on. Do y'all part, because if you get home on a pass rush, it makes life a lot easier on that secondary. So if you're LSU, what's the new goal? 28. Allow an opponent less than 28 points. That's it. That's reasonable, right? Come on, you're LSU. I've said this many times this year. You're LSU. Act like it. Come on.
DBU no more though.
Oh, it's driving me. I mean, it hurts my heart that DBU is no longer right now. It hurts my heart. I mean, you don't understand. Like I
know.
Louisiana, it's the position we put out more than any other position is defensive backs.
I remember when I was in high school. I mean, like guys like Tyrann Mathieu, Patrick Peterson, all coming out and everything. I'm like, okay, LSU.
I mean, if there's one thing, it's an abundance of defensive backs coming out of Louisiana high schools year in and year out. So to see this kind of just disaster in the backfield at that position just hurts everyone involved. So LSU, it's time to bounce back. I like the way Brian Kelly handled the last road 11 a.m. kickoff when it was in Starkville. We'll see if he does the same thing again this time. It's not a place they visit often. They visited, in 2020? But before that, I don't even know it was the last time they visited them. But I look for LSU to bounce back in a close victory on Saturday.
All right. Any last thoughts as we head into the weekend here, Sean?
No, I'm looking forward to a weekend. I really want to see both teams bounce back. I mean, there's too much pride, too much talent, too much dignity, too much there's too many guys that have been through a lot, battle-tested guys to be this down. So I'm really looking for a bounce-back effort by the Saints and LSU this week.
All right, let's see if we can get a bounce-back weekend. For Sean Fazende, I'm Vasilios. This has been the Fox 8 Overtime Podcast. We'll catch you guys next time.